Hello, 1 2 1 2. This thing on. All right, bet. What is good, guys? Today I'm just talking about a pretty simple topic video that I came up with, and the topic for today is why you really can't listen to everyone, and also just my thoughts on the fact that most people actually have no idea what they're talking about, and some niggas just be talking. So I'm gonna go over why I say that and some examples in my life where I kind of noticed that. And basically, the whole point of what I'm trying to say is that you can't take advice from everybody. Like your friends, your teachers, adults, coworkers. And I remember when I was younger, I used to always think that people who are older or more experienced or have more tenure or just were doing things for longer, mainly older people like adults and like, my teachers, that they kind of knew what they were doing because, they were an adult, right? But then when I got older and I got to be, kind of an adult myself, I realized, oh wow, like they're just basically grown up kids. Like there's never a stage where you go from a kid to be an adult where you magically know everything. Your background and what you're doing with that time, you know, matters so much. Like time, wasted and time well spent are two way different things. Like it's literally exactly like the J. Cole song. So you know that song where, is like good news nigga, you came a long way, like bad news nigga is you went the wrong way. Like that's literally how I be feeling about so many people is you put in so much work and you don't really realize that all the work and time you put in, it could have been in the wrong area, man. So that's how I be feeling about a lot of people, and that's why I feel like you can't take advice from everybody. And also another thing I realized as I got older is that so many people see the world in their own way and they just project their own kind of positive or negative experiences onto you, So it's like, oh, somebody who really had never like, bad girls or had been good at sports. I don't know why those two examples came to mind, but those were just the two examples. When you may be a young bull, right? I don't know why I started. You might be a young bull and you might be asking like, let's say you're like whatever 13, you ask your older brother who's like 18 about getting girls and he's like, "Oh shit. Girls all they do is bullshit. You can't do this and that. You can't get no girls, right? Like you don't trust them, da 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 da." Just because he had a bad experience with girls, right? Off of whatever the handful of girls that he been with. And then now he puts that onto you. And it's like you take his advice as like as Bible, cause like, oh, he's 18, he must know everything. It's like, bro, this nigga don't know what he talking about. Like, you gotta actually take everything with a grain of salt, cause people don't know what they're talking about. Or somebody who never, was good at sports to be like, oh, don't even try, it's not even worth your time. Versus somebody who was even decent, but they just enjoyed their time with it. You might get two. What I'm trying to say is, based on whoever you're talking to, you might get two completely different answers based on the on a subject, and you got to really like be able to filter it out and understand that you can't take everything's word as gospel. And I'm like just getting that across because I used to do that so much in my own life. I used to take people's word as gospel, saying like, oh, if they're older than me and they know what they're talking about, like, I'm saying, like, I gotta listen to them, they must know exactly what they're talking about. And it's literally not true at all. And another point I want to get into is that some people just literally have the gift of gab, and this is something that I never had, especially growing up. Even now, making these YouTube videos is a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I don't mind it at all. But some people, like in a social situation, they love just being the center of attention and hearing themselves talk. And we all know people like this. I'm not saying there's anything necessarily wrong with it because being an introvert myself, I actually kind of appreciate it when somebody else takes the, lead and just wants to be the person and just get the conversation going and like talk. And that can be a good thing and a bad thing. So I actually appreciate it when some people just want to like talk and talk and talk because it like kind of puts the pressure off everybody else. But at the same time, when you're dealing with people like that, and sometimes you're going to them for advice, or you're trying to like figure out a certain issue or problem in your life. Hold on, let me move my mic. Yeah, when you're trying to figure out a certain issue or problem in your life, you can't take their what they're saying as gospel because a lot of time they just want to sound cool or look smart, or they just kind of want to keep up, the little facade they got going on, or looking like they know everything, and they don't want to admit that they don't know. Like that's the thing too, is you gotta realize that not everybody is comfortable admitting like, yo, I don't know, I don't have the answer. Like, not everybody is okay saying that, but sometimes you got to say that. And instead of saying that, they'll just say like a BS answer. And like, even you guys know your parents will do this. Like, you'll ask your parents a question, and instead of saying like, I actually don't know, they'll just come up with some BS or be like, oh, when I was younger, when I did this, so this is what happened to me. And it's like, nigga, I don't care what happened to you. I'm trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so you got to remember that at all times, man, is that some people aren't willing to say, I don't know. And me personally, I always try and say, like, yo, if I don't know the answer to a question, then I don't know. I will literally tell you that I don't know the answer, and that's fine. And yeah, I remember when I was younger and I was like around middle school age, I went to a smaller private school, and then I got transferred to a not as small private school. But basically, when I first got there, I was like super, super like reserved and quiet and chill. And I was, I had friends, but it wasn't really like I was like out and about like that, right? And then like later, I think later into my second year, I really started just be, making more friends. I really started hanging like with the black people, and I'm obviously black, right? But I started, hanging with more, more my own people. We were kind of like out, and I was like laughing more and being more talkative. In hindsight, which were all great things for my development as a person. But I remember one time, like one of my teachers, like this old white dude, he like sat me down, and he just like, he called me into his office, and he was like, hey, like, we're all concerned about you. Like, we feel like you've changed up. We don't like the crowd you're running with. I feel like everybody's gotten this talk at some point in life where it's like, oh, we're concerned about the friends you're running with. And I was like, what do you mean, bro? And I get it. Like, we weren't perfect or angels or saints or anything like that. But I'm just like, in hindsight, dude, like, that was really one of the best periods of my life, because it was me starting to come out of my shell and be more me, which is, great, as opposed to just me being like, just whatever they wanted me to be, just kind of like sitting down, yes sir, no sir. And like, I just feel like if I had sat there and listened to what he said, I would have felt negative or shame about like being myself, and like having friends who actually understood me and, wanted to hang out with me. And like, and it's crazy because I'm friends with a lot of those guys till this day. So if I would have listened to him, then I would have lost, lifelong friends. And another situation of that really kind of made me think about this in a really different light is when I was in high school and I was about to get ready to go to college. I actually, you know how it is when you're going to college and you talk with your administrator. We had this new administrator at my school, and it was her first year doing it. And I remember just everybody hated her, dude. And I'm not even trying to like shit on her and talk bad about her, but that's what the situation was. Like, all the seniors, we were all stressed. You know how it is when you're in high school. Like, you're stressed about college. You're like trying to figure out what the next steps are. You have no idea what's going on. And this administrator, bro, I don't know, like, if she had an attitude or if she was just like, I don't know, but she was telling everybody like, oh, you can't get into this school, you can't get into that school, like, you're not good enough, your grades aren't good enough. And it wasn't just me, like, it was like, I remember specifically this one girl who was super smart, and she had a dream of going to Penn State. And then like I was like semi cool with her, but like one day she like had a meeting with her, and she came back and she was like, yo, fuck that teacher, like, she's a bitch, like, she just told me like I can't get into Penn State and all that, like, she's just such a hoe. And like, she was like mad about it, but she was also like sad, like about to cry. And I'm just thinking like, damn, like, what is her problem, right? And so it gets to be my turn to go to her and talk to her. And I'm already knowing I don't have the best grades, but I'm just saying like, hey man, I just gotta go do it. I'm trying to see what my options are. And then I literally remember just going in there, and I don't remember specifically what she said, but she was saying like, oh yeah, you can't get into this school, you can't get into that school, like, you can't do this, like, you don't really have no options, like, you should just give up. And I'm just thinking like, yo, what is your issue? I'm like, damn, like, even if that was like the truth, then you couldn't even phrase it in a better way. You couldn't even phrase it to be like, oh, why don't you try and, go to community for a year or something like that. And I'm just like, bro, like, what is your issue? And again, I didn't listen to her. I ended up going to, a school that I didn't want to go to later that fall, but ended up being, one of the best decisions of my life. And again, I remember her saying like, "Oh, you don't have any options. You can't get into school." And even my parents at a point were saying like, "Oh, maybe you should give up on trying to go to school." And it just gets to a point where it's like, yo, you gotta like not listen to other people when it comes to some decisions in your life, because they just don't know what they're talking about, bro. Like, at a certain point, you gotta like kind of call the shots in your own life. And whether you're like, you gotta make sure you're like a good decision maker. You gotta like pray about it, like think about it. But at a certain point, you can't just go off of what other people are saying because other people they just be talking, bro. That's what I'm trying to say. Is other people just be talking at the end of the day, and just because like it sounds good doesn't mean you have to listen to it. All right, I got a couple more examples. I remember one time I was at this college conference, right? So it plays into it. Like I didn't listen to her into going to college. Like here I'm at a college conference. I'm at this college conference, and then similar. I'm like it's like a job like conference or whatever, and this one dude gets up on stage, and I forget what he was like talking about, but he was just giving advice about like how to deal with your coworkers and like how to deal with your bosses, and just like how to like what I'm saying. I don't know. Like he was just giving some advice, right? And he was sitting up on stage, and I ain't gonna lie, this dude reminded me so much of Steve Carell from The Office, but like not in a good way. Not like in the funny, like caring way, but in just like the robotic, like, stickler, nerd way. And there's nothing wrong with being a nerd, but like I'm just trying to say he was just like I could tell like you know what I'm saying? Like he was like that. He was like Steve Carell from The Office in the worst way. And I'm sitting here and I'm just like, hey brother, like I appreciate all the advice, but it's like why would I ever listen to you if this is what your life is like? Like why would I care about how you interact with coworkers, like what type of job you work if this is your 24/7? You know what I'm saying? And then that kind of is my other point of like I only listen to people's advice where if I'm looking at their life and like the results of your advice is gonna like get me to where you are. So I remember I heard a phrase somewhere and I love it, but it says only take advice from people you switch places with. And that's like kind of what that story made me realize of like, bro, you can't be out here giving advice and like trying to give advice to people when it's like you take a look at your own life and it's backwards. It even goes back to the Bible verse. Like get the log out of your own eye before you try and get the sawdust out of somebody else's eye. It's like you can't give advice when you got clear, glaring issues in your own life about on the same topic. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I remember one time as well. I was going through some stuff with the relationship, and I was asking my cousin for advice, and she usually gives me really good advice, and we talk about it a lot. But this situation, I was talking to her about it a lot, and I was trying to like break down like every single like nitpicky aspect of it for her, and then she was just kind of like, she was like, "Yo, at the end of the day," I was about to say my name there. I'll do a name reveal later, but not right now. She's like, "At the end of the day, no one has ever lived your life, and no one will ever be able to go through what you went through. Like you may be able to like try and sit here and like break it down to me and what's the word like." Tell me every situation, every detail, but you were the only one who like sat there and understood it. You were the only one who like was in the moment. You like saw the look in the other person's eyes, like you read the body language, like you felt the feeling in the air. Like you will never be able to replicate that to me. So I can try and give you an answer based on what you're telling me, but at the end of the day, it's your decision because you were the only one who lived it and experienced it and felt it, and I can only go off the limited information you gave me. And I don't know why when she said that, like ever since then, I've always been asking people for advice less. Like I still ask for advice. I still think it's great to get advice and knowledge from other people, but I've always taken everything with a grain of salt because I realized like, yo, she's right. Like even me, like when I give advice to people or when, people come to me for advice, I'm like, yo, I can never fully be in that situation with you. You were the only person in time who will ever have experienced that. And I will never be able to do that again. So at the end of the day, it's your life, it's your path. Like you are the only one who fully experienced it. So I can't, what I'm saying, take that memory out of your head and be like, oh, this is what happened. This is what you should do. Like, no, that was only you who experienced that. And that's actually a great thing. I think it's a gift because it takes the pressure off everybody to try and solve everybody else's problems. Okay. And yeah, and also that's also what I wanted to go to as well is that the fact that not everybody is supposed to be the same, if that makes sense. Like, we're not all supposed to be carbon copies of each other. We're not all supposed to be running the same businesses or having the same pickup lines or doing the same workouts or interested in the same things, have the same creative ideas because we're all on, different life paths. We're on different journeys. And it's like, as you understand all the ideas and plans that were given to you specifically, it's okay if not everybody else gets it because you won't always understand the ideas and plans they have. And like even me starting this YouTube thing or getting back into this YouTube thing, not everyone is going to understand it and that's okay. It's my thing. And that's why some things you just got to work on it and trust it. And, TBH, that's the phase I'm at in my life right now. So this video is literally as much me talking to myself and thinking out loud as much as it is for y'all. But, that's all I got really, just some quick ideas, just some thoughts, me thinking out loud about, is taking other people's advice and advice in general. And just a reminder to wrap the video, like, these niggas don't know what they talking about. Like, just do you at the end of the day. And like, if you got something that is for you, then you just gotta roll with it, man. You can't listen to everybody else. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Give some examples of good advice you got and some bad advice you got. And again, love as always, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.